What? That started way too easy. If you've ever wanted to hear what a twin turbo K24 NSX sounds like, well boys, you came to the right place. Today, this car will be running. And it should, knock on wood, it should be a pretty quick, painless, and easy process this morning to get the car running. Pretty much we got to pick up where we left off yesterday, grease the turbos, get a base map on it, do a few more checks, and then go ahead and attempt the first start. That's where we're at. Let's get her done. If you're new here, welcome. 428 days ago, I started building this car, a 91 Honda NSX. When I bought the car, it was an automatic. Later on, I found out it had a ton of frame damage that we had to repair. And now it houses a fully built K24 with 2 turbos from Comp Turbo hanging out the back. Now to get this car actually drivable, there is a ton of systems to complete, but to get it to run, there's not much. If we want to drive this thing, the whole air to water cooler system needs to be completed. That's probably 2 or 3 days worth of work in itself. We need to complete the cooling system, and then the interior isn't really an interior as of right now. Minor details, we will take care of that when the time is right. For now, let's go ahead, slap in some grease in the turbos, get a base map loaded up, and see about getting this thing running. Right here and right here are the grease fittings on the turbos. 7 pumps of this grease right here from Comp Turbo into each cartridge, and we'll be good to go. You want to do that every 3,000 miles. One more thing I've been a little bit stressed out about was the sand that was in the fuel tank. What I'm gonna do is just go ahead, drain all the fuel that's out of there. Now I think I got all of the sand that the sandblast shop left in the tank. I think I got it all out, but just to be sure, let's drain this tank, fill it up again with brand new fresh 92 octane. Of course, we do have an inline filter that will catch anything, but I've been stressing, so let's do that. Five fresh gallons of pump gas. Now let's toss in the plugs. We're going to be running some cheapos for now, just some Koppers BKR7Es. When we go to tune this thing on the dyno, I'll swap to some iridiums, but for a first start, a set of Koppers will be fine. Get our coils back on, plug in our alpha injectors, get on the charge pipe, load up the tune, and fire it up. Very last thing is to load up the tune. File, open, Devin NSX base, write all settings to device. Now our base map is loaded up on the R3. Let's fire this thing up. That started way too easy. It's alive. We are having two minor issues with the car. First is the wideband. For some reason, I cannot get wideband to come online, so I need to figure that out because it's obviously very important, especially with a brand new motor. And number two, I keep getting a check engine light for a ground loop error. This right here, sensor ground loop detected. So I need to do some digging there. I'm curious if I have another sensor wired wrong to where it's creating a ground loop. I'm guessing that's the problem. We'll need to do some digging, but let's figure out the wideband issue first. All right, I got widebands to come online. Now it's saying that I need to calibrate the widebands. But first, listen to this thing. This sounds different. It sounds weird. I need to hear it under load to see if I actually like it. I think I'm gonna like it. Like I showed you guys earlier, we need to go ahead and calibrate our wideband sensors, which is interesting because I've never had to do this with a Haltech wideband before. But if we come into wideband 02, go to the wiring tab, we have a calibrate here. Again, we are running two separate banks on this setup with both turbos. Tuning wise is going to be easier to go off two banks instead of one. In order to calibrate, the sensor must be removed from the exhaust and in free air. There we have bank 1. Bank 2 should just be a simple yes and a calibrate. We now have wideband up online. That's enough running it. We need a cooling system to continue running this thing. But let's figure out issue number 2, sensor ground loop detected. Let me do some digging, figure out what I did wrong with the engine harness, and I'll let you guys know what I messed up. The way I'm going about diagnosing this is I unplugged every single sensor on the entire engine harness. Fuel, coolant, speed, all the cam sensors, everything, with everything unplugged. So now I'm gonna go back one by one, plug a sensor in, reset the ECU until the code comes back online, and then we know what sensor is throwing the code. Every sensor on the entire car is reading perfectly. None of them are giving me the issue. So what I did is went online and everybody said, I have the same issue. Turn off the code and move on with life. That's what we're doing. The next system that we need to focus on in order to run the engine for extended periods of time is, of course, the cooling system. First step in that process is getting this coolant pipe welded up. Craig from Straight Fab, the shop that built the entire twin turbo kit for this car, came through and got a nice bead on our coolant pipe. So that's all sorted out. Now we have a hose that connects from here up to there, another one that goes underneath the car up to there, and then this lower radiator hose that goes from there to there. And then I need to figure out how we are going to bleed the cooling system on this car. I'm assuming it's going to be pretty similar to that, where we have to utilize a vacuum pump. So here's all the hoses and clamps that we need to get installed. I also have this little guy. I honestly don't really know what this is, but it's OEM, it's factory. A cable hooks to it. I'm sure eventually I'll figure out what this actually does. For now, let's just get it back on in the factory location. Of course, we got to clean all of this up before it goes on the car. As of right now, the entire cooling system is 100% complete. All the hoses are on. That pipe is welded up, good to go. That hose is on. Now, just like the 3RS, radiator's in the front, engine is in the back. As you can see, there is no fill cap on the radiator. The radiator cap is back here on the coolant neck. So this is where we will be adding coolant from. Now, of course, it is a brand new build. There's a ton of cooling system components on this car. I'm gonna go ahead and start off with water like I always do. In case there's any leaks, we can get it sorted out with water and not coolant. Now I'll be using the good old trusty Harbor Freight Special cooling system test and refill kit. This basically pulls a vacuum on the entire system, which we'll also check to see if we have any leaks or any issues going on there. And this is what we're gonna use to fill the system as well. So we got the unit on the filler neck. Both of the valves are closed. What we're gonna go ahead and do is connect an air compressor source to right here. Open this valve, that'll draw a vacuum on this gauge right here. We're then gonna close the valve, and if it maintains a vacuum, that means our cooling system technically doesn't have any leaks. If that's the case, then I'll go ahead and fill the system. Well, clearly we have a problem. We're getting no vacuum whatsoever, almost as if there's an entire missing hose off the car. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is pull off the vacuum fill kit, go ahead and install this, which is a radiator pressure test kit. Basically, it's a hand pump, pump air into the entire system, spray all of the joints down with soapy water, figure out which one's leaking, and fix it. I am so over cheap AN fittings because they always leak. Both sides of this 10 AN right here are leaking. And we have a leak coming from our brand new water pump. Sick. I was gonna say screw it, I'll deal with this some other day. But let's get at least the water pump sorted out tonight. About 15 minutes later, I got the pump removed. Unfortunately, I will be having to run an O'Reilly special pump, at least for now. It's the weekend, the dealer's closed. Let's try again. New water pump is on. This leak over here, I just plugged that off. We'll need that long term, that's heater core stuff, but for now, we don't need that. So far, so good. New water pump is not leaking, and I don't see any other leaks on the entire car. Now, I do want to go ahead and fire it up, try to get this bled out a little bit. But before that, I need to add some gear oil into the transmission. Before, I did not have the half shaft on the passenger side as I was waiting on the actual axle to come back. Big ol' ordeal there. But now that we have the half shaft in, I can add the gear oil and it all won't leak out all over the floor. Easiest way to fill this thing, we're gonna pull that guy right there, stab a funnel into the transmission case, and fill her up. Now that we have a cooling system on the car and oil in the gearbox, we can actually go ahead and run this thing for more than 15 seconds. Let's fire it up, get this idle turned down a little bit because it's idling pretty high, and go from there. I'm curious how this thing's gonna sound in general. Like I know roughly how it sounds. Let's just fire it up. We got the idle turned down a little bit. This thing's a lot more quiet than I thought it would be. Granted, it's still loud, but those turbos quiet this thing down quite a bit. There's no mufflers, no resonators, just an engine, a manifold, some turbos, and then it exits. And just like that, my friends, we have a running and almost, not really almost, but getting closer to almost driving twin turbo K-Series NSX. That was a lot of progress that we made today. A lot of little fixes, a lot of systems complete, but there's still quite a few puzzle pieces to piece together before this thing drives out that door.